right. Our second speaker this morning is a local resident from Maine, Michael Kaufman. Michael is a respected scientist and ecologist who has been involved in ecosystem research for over 20 years. He is an author and leader in the effort to expose the false science and rhetoric used by the environmental establishment to impose their agenda over us all. It was Michael Kaufman's research that provided the proof in the United States Senate during the 90s that stopped it from ratifying the UN's Biodiversity Treaty. As Michael Shaw showed you earlier, the map that Michael put together was sent to the floor of the Senate, and when the senators saw it, they voted unanimously not to ratify the Biodiversity Treaty. Today, Michael joins us to talk about one of the two main programs used to implement sustainable development, smart growth. Build as a way to control development, rid our highways of traffic, and rebuild our inner cities. The truth is, smart growth is, as the Wall Street Journal said recently, really pretty dumb. Michael Kaufman will tell us why smart growth is such a threat to our liberty. Michael.
Take your time. Smart growth. It sounds so wonderful, doesn't it? But smart growth is a fraud. One of the biggest frauds I have ever witnessed. In the number of years that I have been involved in this, there is nothing about it that works. Smart growth promises to bring order out of chaos, to begin the process of reducing traffic congestion that causes so many of us problems as we drive to work or do our shopping, to provide closer proximity to the workspace so that many of us can walk to where we work or shop rather than have to drive, to reduce air pollution so that we have cleaner air to breathe, to be able to increase affordable housing so that all people can begin to live the American dream, and to preserve open space and the agricultural land upon all of which all of us depend upon for our food and enjoyment as we recreate, picnic, and so forth in our open space. It's a smart thing to do, we are told. We are to take the dense cities and break them into rural open spaces, because everyone knows that we're running out of open space. Our agricultural lands are being taken over by cities. And before long, we will not have the open space that we need to grow the crops and the food that we need to have to live a sustainable life. Therefore, creating open space is a mandate of smart growth. Public transportation reduces congestion according to smart growth. And if we were able to develop a network of light rail and other transportation systems, much of our congestion, they say, will disappear. Neighborhood living and shopping is to be replaced, these shopping malls to be replaced by local stores and so forth that are integrated with where we live, so that many places all we have to do is to go downstairs or to across the street to be able to do our shopping and not to drive our cars to the local city or malls. And then finally, we are to get rid of the ugly box stores and replace them with these boutiques. Never mind that the cost of living increases dramatically because the scale of economy is lost. We have, according to smart growth, this idea that we must create these small, very cozy, very friendly stores in order to improve the quality of our lives. Even the more modern areas will have living above and shops below. The question is, does smart growth really work? Does it really attain the goals that are promised? In a word, not. Totally no. There are no exceptions. In reality, smart growth dramatically increases congestion, increases air pollution, destroys the American dream of owning a home, dramatically increases the cost of living, transfers property rights to the government rather than to ourselves as individuals. It artificially benefits some people at the expense of others. Smart growth is diametrically opposed to the founding principles of the United States Constitution and those things laid down to us by our founding fathers. They are mutually exclusive. They cannot coexist. Thomas Jefferson, when he established and we were writing the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, he says it's not by the consolidation or the concentration of powers, but by their distribution that good government is effected. Contrary to the whole idea of reinventing the government, what our founding fathers did was establish a tripart system of government, where we have the legislative, the executive, and the judicial branches that are totally separate at the federal level, at the state level, and at the local level. And the relative size of these three levels depends or shows or illustrates the relative importance of how these various entities control our lives. The most government, the most laws that should be passed according to our Constitution should be done at the local level. The local government is the most responsive to the people over which it governs, and therefore has the greatest responsibility in that governance. The state government has less responsibility, and according to our founding fathers, the federal government should have the least responsibility of all. This is the constitutional way that the American constitutional republic was formed by our founding fathers back more than 200 years ago. They call what Thomas Jefferson calls the People's Law. The People's Law, as we heard by Michael Shaw just a moment ago, is based on the inalienable rights, God-given rights of our citizens. Those provide the greatest power to the individuals that make up our citizenry in the United States. They, according to the Constitution, have the greatest power, followed by city government, state government, or county government, state government, and finally the federal government having the least power of all, the way the Constitution was originally envisioned by our founding fathers. Again, putting the greatest power of government close to the people, where if they get out of control, the rascals can be voted out of office. It's based on the principles of the scholar and philosopher and legislator John Locke of the 1600s, when he said that the purpose of government is to join together to unite for the mutual preservations of their lives, liberties, and estate, which I call by the general name property. If you recall, the Declaration of Independence that Thomas Jefferson penned took this almost whole cloth in saying that we must have the protection of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The original documents, the original writings, drafts of the Declaration of Independence basically said life, liberty, and property, just after, patterned after John Locke. It was changed to pursuit of happiness to ensure that everyone understood that it included not only the people who own land, but all people, because property, by definition, literally is everything that you control. Your contracts, your home, all the things, your businesses, all things are your property. And the reason it was changed, the pursuit of happiness, is that because private property is the foundation of liberty and the pursuit of happiness. And they wanted to ensure in the Declaration of Independence that was clearly understood. John Locke goes on to say that the great and chief aim, therefore, of men united in the commonwealths and putting themselves under government is the preservation of their property. Interestingly enough, the principles behind a constitutional republic such as we have supposedly in the United States, the primary purpose of government is to protect